When people hear someone say, "I'm nervous to marry you," they often assume it's a sign of doubt. They imagine hesitation means something is missing. But I think the opposite is often true. Sometimes, the greatest nervousness comes from recognizing the incredible value of what stands before you. If I were walking into something temporary, something disposable, I wouldn't feel this weight. But marriage isn't a weekend event. It isn't a celebration measured by flowers, photographs, or applause. It's the beginning of the longest project two people will ever build together. And projects that matter deserve respect. The wedding day lasts only a few hours. Marriage is measured in decades. The ceremony is a promise spoken once, but the real promise is repeated every morning when you wake up beside the same person and decide, once again, that they are worth your patience, your effort, and your best self. That's what makes this moment so significant. I'm not nervous about standing at the altar. I'm thinking about every ordinary Tuesday 10 years from now. I'm thinking about the difficult conversations we'll have when life doesn't go according to plan. I'm thinking about the sacrifices we'll make without anyone applauding us. Those are the moments that define a marriage, not the ones that get captured by a camera. We live in a world that celebrates beginnings but rarely talks about endurance. It's easy to fall in love when everything is exciting. It's much harder to build something that survives disappointment, uncertainty, and change. Every meaningful achievement requires commitment beyond emotion. You don't launch something extraordinary because every day feels easy. You succeed because you continue when the excitement fades and the work begins. I believe relationships follow the same principle. Love is not sustained by intensity alone, it's sustained by intention. That's why I'm careful with the promises I make. Words are powerful, but actions are what give them credibility. I don't want to promise forever simply because it sounds beautiful. I want to promise forever because I'm prepared to work for it. There will be moments when we misunderstand each other, moments when we're exhausted, moments when life asks more from us than we think we can give. But those moments don't signal failure. They are opportunities to prove that commitment is stronger than convenience. Real love isn't built by avoiding challenges. It's built by facing them together. It's built in quiet conversations after difficult days, in forgiveness after mistakes, in choosing understanding instead of pride, and in refusing to let temporary emotions define permanent decisions. That's why this commitment feels so profound. I'm not preparing for a perfect life. I'm preparing to build an extraordinary one with an imperfect person who is willing to grow beside me, just as I am willing to grow beside you. So if you see a little nervousness in my eyes, don't mistake it for uncertainty. It is simply the quiet respect of someone who understands that forever is too valuable to take lightly. After realizing that marriage is far more than a single day, another thought naturally follows, and it's one that stays with me more than anything else. I'm not afraid of the dress, the ceremony, or the vows. I'm afraid of something much deeper. I'm afraid of failing the person I love most. That fear doesn't come from a lack of confidence in us. It comes from understanding the incredible responsibility that love places in your hands. When someone gives you their heart, they are trusting you with something that cannot simply be replaced. They are handing you their dreams, their fears, their childhood memories, their future hopes, and even the parts of themselves they rarely show anyone else. That kind of trust is extraordinary. It deserves more than good intentions. It deserves consistency. It deserves presence. It deserves someone who keeps showing up even on the difficult days. I know I won't be perfect. There will be moments when I say the wrong thing, when I become distracted, when work demands too much of my attention, or when life tests my patience. The real challenge isn't avoiding every mistake. That's impossible. The challenge is making sure that no mistake becomes more important than the person standing beside me. I never want success in the outside world to become an excuse for failure at home. We're often taught to fear failure in business, in school, or in ambitious goals. But those failures can usually be repaired. You learn, adapt, and try again. The failure that truly matters is failing someone who believed in you without conditions. That's a different kind of weight. It forces you to ask harder questions. Am I listening enough? Am I creating safety instead of stress? Am I becoming someone who inspires peace rather than uncertainty? Those questions don't have easy answers, but they are worth asking every single day. I've learned that strength isn't pretending to have everything under control. Real strength is having the humility to admit when you've fallen short and the courage to make things right. Pride builds walls. Humility builds bridges. In a marriage, those bridges matter more than being right. They create space for forgiveness, for understanding, and for growth. Every challenge becomes less about winning an argument and more about protecting the connection that made the relationship possible in the first place. I also believe that love grows best in an environment where both people feel seen. It's easy to notice someone's achievements. It's harder and far more important to notice their silent struggles. Sometimes the greatest act of love is recognizing that the person smiling beside you is carrying a burden they haven't yet found the words to describe. I want to become the kind of partner who pays attention to those quiet moments, who notices the small changes, and who responds with compassion instead of assumption. This fear also pushes me to keep growing. I don't want to become comfortable with who I am today if becoming better tomorrow means loving you more effectively. Growth isn't optional in a lifelong relationship. The person I am now cannot be the final version of me. Every year should bring more patience, more wisdom, more self-control, and a deeper understanding of what it means to truly care for another human being. Loving someone for a lifetime requires becoming someone worthy of that lifetime. So yes, I'm afraid, not because I question my love for you, but because I respect it enough to know what's at stake. And if that fear keeps reminding me to listen more carefully, love more intentionally, and choose you more faithfully, then it's not a weakness at all. It's the quiet force that will keep me becoming the partner you deserve. One of the things that makes marriage both exciting and intimidating is knowing that neither of us will remain exactly who we are today. We often fall in love with a particular version of someone, the way they laugh, the way they think, the dreams they carry, and the habits they've developed over the years. But life has a remarkable way of reshaping people. Time changes priorities, success changes perspective. Failure teaches lessons we never expected to learn. Joy softens us. Pain transforms us. The people standing at the altar today will not be the same people celebrating their 20th anniversary. And strangely enough, that's exactly how it should be. The question isn't whether we'll change. That's inevitable. The real question is whether we'll keep discovering each other as we change. I think that's one of the greatest challenges in any lasting relationship. Too many people expect love to preserve everything exactly as it was, but real love doesn't freeze people in time. It gives them room to grow without making them feel like they're growing alone. Imagine trying to build something extraordinary while refusing to improve it. It would never survive. Every meaningful creation evolves. Every great idea goes through revisions. Every breakthrough comes after countless adjustments. Relationships are no different. The goal isn't to protect the past so fiercely that the future never has a chance to. The goal is to build a future where both people continue becoming better while staying deeply connected to one another. There will be seasons when one of us feels stronger and the other feels exhausted. There will be moments when one dream ends and another unexpectedly begins. We may discover passions we never imagined, face challenges we never planned for, or make sacrifices that completely redefine what success looks like. Through all of that, I don't want us to ask, "Why have you changed?" I want us to ask, "How can I understand the person you're becoming?" That question changes everything. It replaces judgment with curiosity. It replaces fear with trust. Instead of resisting growth, it welcomes it. It reminds us that love isn't about possessing someone. It's about walking beside them as they continue discovering who they are. The greatest gift we can offer each other isn't permission to stay the same. It's the freedom to become more. Of course, change can feel uncomfortable. Sometimes growth creates distance before it creates deeper connection. That's why communication matters so much. We can't assume we'll always know what the other person is thinking. We have to keep talking, keep listening, and keep asking questions, even after years together. Familiarity should never replace curiosity. The day we stop learning about each other is the day we stop investing in the relationship. I hope that years from now, we'll look back and smile at how much we've changed. Not because we lost ourselves, but because we found stronger, wiser, and more compassionate versions of ourselves together. I hope we'll laugh at the dreams that evolved, celebrate the battles we overcame, and appreciate every version of each other that life introduced along the way. Forever isn't about promising that nothing will ever change. Forever is the promise that no matter how much life transforms us, we'll never stop reaching for each other with the same intention that brought us here today. That is how two changing hearts build one unshakable future. As I think about everything that comes after the wedding day, one realization becomes impossible to ignore. I don't believe the greatest threat to a marriage is conflict. Disagreements are inevitable. Two people with different experiences, different personalities, and different ways of seeing the world are going to collide from time to time. In fact, I think a relationship without honest disagreement is often one where someone has stopped telling the truth. Conflict isn't the enemy. Silence is. distance is. The slow fading of emotional connection is what truly worries me. It's possible to sit in the same room every day and still feel worlds apart. You can share a home, a schedule, and even a future plan, yet slowly stop sharing your heart. That kind of separation doesn't happen overnight. It happens in small moments that seem insignificant at first. It's choosing your phone over a conversation. It's assuming instead of asking. It's saying, I'll tell them later, until later becomes weeks, then months. Emotional distance isn't built through one dramatic event. It's built through countless missed opportunities to stay connected. That's why I don't want us to become experts at living together while becoming strangers to each other. I want us to keep talking long after we think we've said everything. I want us to ask questions even when we believe we already know the answers. People continue growing, and if we stop being curious about one another, we risk loving a memory instead of the person standing in front of us. There will be days when one of us carries stress the other can't immediately understand. Life will demand more from us than we expect. Work will become overwhelming. Unexpected setbacks will test our patience. In those moments, the easiest thing to do is retreat into ourselves. But I believe those are the exact moments when connection matters most. Sometimes the strongest statement you can make isn't offering the perfect solution. It's simply saying, I'm here. We're going through this together. I've learned that listening is one of the most underestimated forms of love. Not listening just to respond, but listening to understand. Listening until the other person feels completely seen. Too often, people enter conversations trying to win. I'd rather build a marriage where we enter conversations trying to understand. Being right might satisfy the ego for a moment, but being understood strengthens trust for years. Vulnerability is another part of this that can't be ignored. It's tempting to appear strong all the time, to hide fears, disappointments, or moments of uncertainty because we don't want to burden the person we love. But walls built for protection eventually become barriers to intimacy. Real connection isn't created by pretending everything is fine. It's created when two people feel safe enough to admit that everything isn't fine and know they'll still be accepted. I hope we become the kind of couple that never lets pride have the final word. If we've had a difficult day, let's talk before resentment settles in. If one of us feels hurt, let's choose honesty over assumptions. If life becomes busy, let's protect our time together with the same determination we protect our ambitions. The strongest relationships aren't those without pressure. They're the ones that refuse to let pressure replace presence. At the end of the day, I don't measure the success of a marriage by how rarely we argue. I measure it by how quickly we find our way back to each other after life pulls us in different directions. Because love isn't preserved by avoiding storms, it is preserved by refusing to let go of each other's hearts while walking through them. If there's one thing I've come to believe, it's that marriage isn't sustained by love alone. Love is the reason two people begin the journey, but growth is what allows them to continue it. The person I am today is not the person I'll need to be 10 years from now. Life will ask more of me than it asks today. It will demand greater patience, deeper wisdom, stronger character, and a level of resilience that can't be developed overnight. If I stop growing, then eventually I'll stop becoming the partner you deserve. That's why I don't want us to see marriage as the finish line. I want us to see it as the starting point of our greatest evolution. Too often people believe that once they've found the right person, everything else naturally falls into place. But lasting relationships aren't built by finding perfection. They're built by two imperfect people who refuse to stop improving. Every year should make us more thoughtful than the year before. Every challenge should leave us wiser instead of more bitter. Every mistake should become a lesson rather than a permanent pattern. Growth isn't always dramatic. Most of the time, it happens quietly. It happens when you learn to pause before reacting. It happens when you choose to listen instead of interrupting. It happens when you apologize without waiting for the other person to apologize first. Those small decisions rarely make headlines, but they shape the entire direction of a relationship. Extraordinary marriages are often the result of thousands of ordinary choices made with extraordinary consistency. I also think it's important that we never become intimidated by each other's growth. If one of us develops a new passion, learns a new skill, or reaches a new level of success, that shouldn't create distance between us. It should inspire both of us to keep moving forward. The healthiest relationships don't compete, they multiply each other's potential. When one person rises, the other doesn't feel left behind. They feel proud to have witnessed the journey. There will also be seasons when growth feels uncomfortable. Sometimes becoming better requires letting go of habits we've carried for years. It may require admitting we've been wrong. It may require changing routines, perspectives, or even lifelong assumptions. That's never easy. The ego resists change because change forces us to confront our limitations. But I would rather face temporary discomfort than settle into permanent complacency. Comfort can quietly become the enemy of progress if we're not paying attention. I hope we create a relationship where feedback isn't received as criticism but as an expression of care. I want us to challenge each other with kindness, encourage each other without jealousy, and remind each other that neither of us has reached our full potential. Imagine what becomes possible when two people spend decades helping each other become wiser, calmer, more compassionate, and more courageous. That kind of partnership doesn't just survive, it transforms everything it touches. And perhaps the most important kind of growth is learning how to love better. Love isn't a fixed skill, it's something we practice. We learn how to communicate more clearly. We learn how to forgive more freely. We learn how to recognize each other's needs before they're spoken. The longer we're together, the more fluent we should become in each other's hearts. That's the kind of progress that no achievement in the outside world can replace. So as we step into this future together, I don't expect us to have all the answers. I simply hope we never lose the willingness to keep learning, keep adapting, and keep becoming better, not because we have to earn each other's love, but because real love deserves two people who never stop growing into the promises they made. After thinking about everything we've talked about, the responsibility, the change, the growth, and the commitment, I realize that all of those thoughts lead back to one simple truth. The reason I'm nervous isn't because I question whether I should marry you. It's because you matter more to me than my own comfort. The things we value most always make us vulnerable. They ask us to step into uncertainty with no guarantee other than the promise we're willing to make. And strangely enough, I think that's where the most meaningful parts of life begin. It's easy to appear fearless when nothing important is at risk. Anyone can be confident when the outcome doesn't really matter. But when you're standing in front of someone who has the power to change your life forever, confidence takes on a different meaning. It isn't about pretending to have no doubts. It's about choosing to move forward even when you fully understand the weight of the decision. Courage has never been the absence of fear. Courage is deciding that something else is more important than fear. You are that something else. When I imagine the future, I don't picture a perfect life. I don't expect every plan to work, every dream to unfold exactly as we imagine, or every season to be easy. Life has a way of surprising us. There will be victories that exceed our expectations and challenges we never saw coming. We'll celebrate incredible moments together, and we'll also face days that test our patience, our resilience, and our faith in each other. But none of that changes what I know today. If we're going to face uncertainty, there's no one else I'd rather face it with. The world often encourages us to optimize for comfort. It tells us to avoid risk, protect ourselves, and never become too emotionally invested. But the greatest achievements have never been created inside comfort zones. Every meaningful step forward begins with uncertainty. Every breakthrough starts with someone willing to believe in a future they can't yet see. I believe love works the same way. You don't build a remarkable relationship by avoiding vulnerability. You build it by embracing it together. That's why I don't want to promise that I'll never be afraid. That wouldn't be honest. There will always be moments when the responsibility of loving someone so deeply feels overwhelming. There will be moments when I'll wonder if I'm doing enough, giving enough, or becoming enough. But those moments won't make me walk away. They'll remind me why I chose this journey in the first place. They'll remind me that love isn't measured by how easy it feels when everything is going well. It's measured by the decisions we make when life becomes complicated. If I ever stumble, I want you to know that my first instinct won't be to run from the challenge. It will be to learn. If I ever misunderstand you, I want my response to be curiosity instead of defensiveness. If I ever fall short, I want my pride to be smaller than my desire to make things right, because I don't see marriage as a promise to be flawless. I see it as a promise to keep showing up, to keep growing, and to keep choosing us again and again, regardless of what life places in our path. One day we'll look back at this moment and realize that the nervousness wasn't a warning. It was evidence that this decision carried real meaning. It proved that we understood the value of what we were building before we ever took the first step. And maybe that's what lasting love has always been. Not two people who never feel uncertain, but two people who refuse to let uncertainty become stronger than their commitment. So yes, my heart is nervous, but not because I'm afraid of loving you. It's nervous because loving you is the most important decision I will ever make, and that is exactly why I know it's the right one.